let's get back to our vendor list. Now we need to create a language list so that we can come here and select language. Now I'm just hard coding the choices. Let me show you Alt-DL to bring up the validation here. Here the data source is hard coded. Now I'm going back to the table summary. This one, simply click it to get back to the table summary. Now we create a table called lang. Oops, the language description cells didn't turn green automatically. So we need to change the conditional formatting here, Alt-OD, to open up conditional formatting. Here at the box apply to, let me get rid of this. Then click here and select the whole language areas and hit apply. Okay, you see this row turn green. Let's say if I type something here, a new green row will appear. Just go back. The language setting will be like this. The language setting tab is called lang, which is language, which has reference code and different languages. I'll include English, Japanese, and Chinese. Okay, let's call this one language setting. Oops, hold on. Down here, I should have add a tab first. New worksheet. And press under highlight mode. Alright, edit. Need to change it to language. LANG. Get back to table summary. Simply copy everything. Hit Ctrl+C to copy. Memorize the cell F2. This one F2. Okay. Go to language. Navigate to cell F2 here. Right click. Paste special and formulas. I'm slightly off. So Ctrl+X, Ctrl+V to move it back. Get back to table and copy everything. Ctrl+C and go to language. Here you can see the language setting. Just get there first. And then go to cell A1. Right click. Formula. Actually, I can try copying all instead of just formulas. Here I copy this whole thing to the language, cell A1, and then Ctrl+V. It's much quicker. Language setting is automatically highlighted. Now I should go to cell D7. The first field is reference. The second one is code. Starting from the third one is language. English, Japanese, Chinese, and so on. Simply select all, Ctrl+T, create table. Remember, my table has headers. Go back to table summary. Ctrl+C, copy the reference description, and get back to language setting. On top of ref, Ctrl+V, Ctrl+C, and Ctrl+V like this. Yep. See if the fields exist, because I should have created all these field names where you can look up from list of fields. Under this column, okay, let's get back to language setting. Go to this cell, then table design, and then table style, pick whatever one. For reference, equal rows, wrap around the first cell, C8, right? Ep4 to lock it. Here you see the $, locking the column C and the row 8. And then colon and C8 again. Here I type C8 again, but I'm not locking it without pressing F4. Close the bracket. Here you see that the ref rows in sequence. C8, the second cell is D9, D10, and so on. For language code, select this cell, hold Shift, N, down arrow, Control 1 to bring up format cell. Hit fill, pick green. I usually pick green because it refers to input, and white refers to formulas, so that I won't touch it. Okay, I must have English, Japanese, and Chinese. The language code can be totally up to you. Let me put Chinese here. Usually I'll add a conditional formatting if my language code isn't empty. Then this area turns green. Let me see Alt-O-D to bring up conditional formatting, new rules, and put in new formula rules here. Equal to this cell, D8. Remember to press F4. F4 was to lock column D. Leave the row 8 unlocked because we need to let it scroll. If D8 is not equal to a quote of nothing, which is empty, and hit format. Fill with green. Select bold font or whatever. Okay, left click once under applies to, and you see this cell. I'm not just applying to one cell, I apply to, if you have multiple rows, simply N and down arrow to select all. And you see the range under applies to, select your range, hit apply. Usually I'll try by typing something in a cell. Okay, in order to ensure language code is 3 character long, I'll add validation. Go to the first cell, E8, Alt-DL, validation where we'll add some rules. Click allow to enable me to enter text length for the language code. So select equal to for data. It has to be 3 character long. Let's say if I type 2 letters here, the error message pops up. Control C, press Shift and down arrow again, and down arrow again. Right click paste special, validation. Try typing more than 3 error. Great, cause we make sure only 3 character works. Alright. Okay, for English, the English for English is English. Alright, we still have one thing. Go back to table summary. We didn't fill in the language tab description in Jap. Alright. One more thing, so we go back to the language setting. Move here and left click, right click, insert, and Control F1, no color. This one should be display. Not sure. This column is FYI only. It's up to you to add back column title. Here I add it. Go to list of fields. See if I have display. Oops, here. Display name. Okay, let's go back to language setting. Call it display underscore name. Okay, it's shown here. Let me try selecting other language. I got something wrong. Alt-O-D. Since I won't type display name, So I don't need formatting and go back here. Just select the language areas like before. Apply. Display name determines the text inside this drop box. If language code equals blank, then comma, return blank, comma, Alt Enter. Otherwise, I should return. Here we have a problem. We can't simply Alt Enter. We need to go back and then Alt Enter. Just return line code, close the bracket. And we'll see this, right? But we want more description besides the code. Escape E8 first. Since this formula is very long, so I just pick cell J8 to draft my formula. Then we copy it back to cell E8. Index to search target based on this line code, which is our selected language. The result will be in this table. So we select the whole thing. The blue area is table 6. We can change table name later. Comma, Alt Enter, match. Based on each reference, let's say 1, return the English description in English, Japanese, and Chinese. Here we only need to select the first cell in reference, comma, and search by matching individual reference to Shift N down arrow to highlight the whole column in pink, comma 0, exact match. It has to be exactly the same. Close the bracket and then comma, Alt Enter. Now we match the columns. The column is based on line code cell B3, but since cell B3 changes when I select different language, so remember back here, click once here, Ep4 to lock it, comma, where should we match to B3? It's the column here. I mean column head. Mount the column heads. There is English, ENG, Japanese, JAP, or Chinese. That's why under language code, you'll see ENG, JAP, CHI, and they must be 3 character long. Okay, comma. And 0, exact match, close the bracket. And then Alt Enter, close the bracket for index. Enter. Okay, then we'll see the list. Let's say I pick another language, Chinese, and it shows Chinese. Switch it back to English. Now we copy the formula in J8. Extract only the index part, copy it down. Come here and remove this. Back here and Control V. Close the bracket. Don't see the code rate. Up front. Insert N. Do it in reverse. Leave a space. Come back. Add the N sign and append the code. Sorry, not reference. It will be this one. Field name CODE code. Okay. There we go. It doesn't look good either. Usually, put an N, then open bracket, before close, Alt Enter, and one quote, close the bracket. Of course, we can add some space and remove these ones. To make this video shorter, I've made 2 selection lists. One is Excel 2016, the other one is Office 365. Since I'm using Office 365, I can't show exactly how you do in Excel 2016. Let's say in Excel 2016, I'll go to this formula. Control C, copy that to a cell where I want to add a Dropbox. Like this. Alt DL. Since I'm in Office 365, if I Control V to paste the formula, okay, I'll get this error. But in Excel 2016, it won't happen. That's why if you use Excel 2016, Simply copy the formula like what I did to the data validation, paste it under source, press OK. You should be fine. You can still get the Dropbox like this. But in Office 365, you can't do this. As a side dish, if you're using Office 365, just go to whatever cell, DL, data validation, allow a list. Since we are selecting from a language list, under source, I'll refer to the cell containing the formula, this one. The formula is already included, then add a shift pound key. OK. Then I should get the list like that. Let me briefly talk about how this formula works. Just pick whatever cell, equal the first cell, which is this one. But I can't simply select cell E8. Because when you look up here, it changes automatically under the column name, display name, while inserting the @ sign. That's why you have to type E8 instead. E8, F4 to lock, column E and row 8, colon, index, where is selection range, this one, display name column, comma, count if also the same column, display name, comma, for criteria, we specify what cell to display, for quote, inside it, we type a pound key, this star-like thing, question mark, is wildcard. Put it simple, whatever row in this column that is more than nothing, such as these, English, Japanese, Chinese, then it will be displayed. Otherwise, it won't show up. Close the count and close index as well. Usually, I'll just drag it down, enter. Now you'll see, here it shows the Dropbox with these 3 choices. If you're using Office 2016, come here. Copy this formula. Remember to skip the equal sign. OK, and come here. It can be any cell. Here I just do it somewhere else. Alt DL to bring up validation, which is your list. Source, left click, equal, and then Control V to paste formula. OK. In Office 2016, you shouldn't see this error. We mentioned that before. If you're in Office 365, you need to type equal this cell. Remember, don't remove the source data, otherwise the list doesn't work. OK, usually I'll get down here, new sheet, create a new one, and then put in all the selection source data in cell D1. Go back to language setting, Control C to copy the formula, Control V to paste it here. Of course, E8 returns error. So you have to remove E8 and go back to language setting. Click whatever cell in language and manually type E8. It's E8 now. E8 now isn't locked, so you need to press F4 to lock it. And here's the source list of language. I can now get rid of all these. Come here, Alt DL. Since I'm using Office 365, so I simply equal this cell and add Control L. OK. Chinese. Chinese. English. OK. That's about it. Save.